Good morning, students. Today we are going to study our second chapter of business studies, that is Principles of Management. The first chapter already we covered, and I hope you understood. We practiced some case study questions also. And in that chapter, you understood the meaning, definition, nature of management. Management is an art, science, profession. Then functions of management, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, objectives of management, coordination, its importance, everything. So after that, now we will discuss on principles of management. So management means it is an art. Every organization needs the skill of management. Some have the inborn talents of managing their organizations, but some others, they have to create that talent, or they have to acquire that talent through some theories and practice. As far as commerce is concerned, we have to study this as a separate subject, and through that we can improve our talents in management. So, principles of management specifies the fundamental truths which provide guidelines for managerial decision making and action. So, all principles of management theories are fundamental truth, means the basic truth. We cannot deny it, and through that we can take decisions and actions. So it helps us for taking good decisions. These principles are derived on the basis of observation and experiments. These are not simply written theories or truth or anything. These are experienced ones, or these are derived on the basis of observation and analysis or experimental studies. Some management theoreticians were there. They practiced this in their organizations, and they developed this as theories for other organizations to follow. So principles of management, so many natures or characteristics are there. These principles of management are formed by practice and experimentation. Then these are general guidelines. This is flexible. Flexible means anywhere we can apply these principles according to changing situations. Then universal, not only in India, any country you go, management theories has got its own application. So cause and effect relationship, there will be one cause and effect relationship. All science theories, all chemicals, how things are formed, everything. For all science the theories, behind that one cause is there, and because of that one effect is there. So like that only management principles also. Management principles also formed by cause and effect relationship. Then it is dynamic. Then it is relative. Relative means change. It depends on the situation that is prevailing. So now the country is under lockdown, so in this situation, how the business organizations are managing, or how they are going to overcome these situations. So it is relative. Then influencing human behavior, of course, so many people are working in organizations. Any organization you take, that's why we need management theories. Any organization you take, school is an organization, hospital is an organization, bank is an organization. Example, your own home you take, your father and mother, how they manages your home under emergency situation. Now you are not may not be getting everything at your home, so how they are managing day to day activities. So that is a talent of managing. So unknowingly we all are doing this activity in our life, but when you come to an organization or business point of view, how we can manage our organization effectively, because there will be so many people, dealing with the human behavior is a not a simple task. So we have to deal with 100 employees, means 100 types of behavior will be there. So how to deal with all these employees is an important thing. Next, we will study some of the theories developed by the famous management theoretician, that is Henry Fayol. So Henry Fayol, he is a famous management theoretician, and he is known as the father of management. He propounded 14 principles of management. So these 14 principles, how it is applicable in our organization, or what are the principles, we will discuss in this class. Before that, who was Henry Fayol? Just to go through. Henry Fayol was French management theorist. Okay, he was from French, and he graduated from the Mining Academy Saint Etienne in 1816 in mining engineering. So he did engineering degree, and then the 19-year-old boy started the mining company, Compagnie de Commanderie for Champion Decazeville, as his managing director. Then Fayol was the first to identify the functions of management. Functions, so we will study functions only in the remaining chapters. After third chapter, we will start the functions of management. Continuously, those functions only there in this first part: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. So planning one chapter, organizing another chapter, staffing another chapter, directing another, then controlling last chapter. So first part will finish there. Okay. So as an introduction, there are three chapters are there. You can see that in the syllabus. First chapter we studied already, nature and significance of management. Next to these, principles of management. Next we will study third chapter, business environment. So after this, we will be studying the functions of management. So he is the person, this Henry Fayol is the person who propounded the management functions. Not only these principles, he first identified the functions of management also. So we'll see the introduction part now. So Henry Fayol, now recognized as father of modern management. So remember this, who is known as the father of modern management? Henry Fayol is the father of management, and he has propounded some theories, and he wrote one book. That book is known as General Industrial and General Administration is the name of his book. Here it is written, Industrial and General Administration. This book he has written, and these 14 principles of management are universally accepted and used even today. So according to Henry Fayol, all managers must follow these 14 principles. So 14 principles are followed everywhere in the world. Okay, so next we will see. So you can see, we will go through these 14 principles. So before the explanation, I have given some pictures. You can see that picture and you can identify what the people are doing there. So what it indicates, you can see some staffs are standing there. Some are checking with one paper, some are checking and keeping the things properly. One person is standing there to invite the people or customers. So we can see different activities here. So what it indicates, so first principles of management is division of work. So in an organization, any organization you take, the work of an organization or the task of an organization should be divided into small tasks. So if you give a big task to a particular person, for him it will be difficult to manage or difficult to accomplish or complete the work. But if you divide that work into small pieces, and if you assign that small piece into different people, it will be very easy for the people to complete it. So that is the principle which says what, division of work. So division of work, so you can see this in this picture, top level, then middle level 3 people, and those 3 people have 3 each. Again those 3 got even 3. So in levels of management we studied that you can associate here top level, middle level and lower level. So when lower level comes, the number of people will be more, and in the top level the number of employees will be less. Okay, next. So according to this principle, the whole work must be divided into small tasks or units, and instead of assigning the whole work to a one person, one task or job should be assigned to one person. So already I told you, work should be divided into small part and it should be assigned into small parts. That small parts can be assigned to different people, and when people perform like this, what will happen, their ability, they will be specialist in that field, their field, and no need of any much supervision or control for that particular employee. So that is the principle, the division of work first. So here also you can see different tasks are performed by different people. Okay, now here you can see authority, responsibility, manager, subordinate. So and from manager, both authority, responsibility going towards the subordinate, and accountability is coming from the subordinate to the manager. So we'll see what is this. So the concepts of authority and responsibility are closely related. Authority was defined by Fayol as the right to give orders and the powers to exact obedience. So what do you mean by authority? Authority is the power to give orders. So if you have the authority to give order someone to you do like this. So that is called, in school we can, if you take an example, principal has the authority to give order to the teachers. Teachers has the authority to give order to the students, like that. So responsibility involves being accountable and is therefore naturally associated with the authority. So this wherever authority is there, responsibility also there. So this authority and responsibility are closely related. So when we talk about authority, responsibility also there. So these both will go hand in hand. So there should be a balance between these two, must go hand in hand. Authority without responsibility leads to irresponsible behavior, whereas responsible without authority makes the person ineffective. So authority without responsibility leads to irresponsible behavior. So you have the authority but no responsibility, no one will question you, no one will you ask you for the outcome, then you will be like, no, okay, I am not responsible. So you will be showing irresponsible behavior. And responsibility without authority makes the person ineffective. But in other cases, responsibility has given to you, assigned to you, but you don't have any authority. That is a problem. Sometimes no, people say, okay, all works I have to do, but all credit will goes to that person. That means you have the responsibility to complete the work, but all the credits or all the motivation or whatever appreciation you have to get, that all will go to other people. So this should not be happen. Both, if you have authority, you have the responsibility also should be shared, authority also should be there. Done. Okay, so two principles we discussed. First principle was division of work. Okay, next principle is which one? Authority and responsibility. Okay, now you see here people are sitting calm, quiet, and they are listening. They are sitting in their particular line. And here also you can see this picture. So next, third principle is discipline. So what do you mean by discipline? So discipline means sincerity, obedience, respect of authority, and observance of rules and regulations of the enterprise. So when you obey the authority or respect the authority and observance of rules and regulations of the enterprise, when you follow, discipline means not sitting calm and quiet. Discipline means respect for the authority. Whatever rules are there, you obey it. Okay, mobile phone strictly prohibited. That's the rule in school, means you have to follow it. So whenever you follow the instructions, that indicates discipline. When teacher assign a work, if you complete it in time, you are disciplined. Otherwise, you are indisciplined. So example I'm saying. Okay. This principle applies that subordinates should respect their superiors and obey their order. Understood? No? Now, discipline is not only required on the part of subordinates but also on the part of management. So, discipline not only for subordinates, discipline is for management also. Next, so here you can see right approach, wrong approach. So, discipline understood. Now, we are going to next principle. See here one head and here three subordinates. Here two bosses are there, and these two people are controlling the other three peoples. So this green button and red button you can see, so all are controlled by all these two bosses, but here means no overlapping. So what is this? Unity of command. So what is this unity of command? Unity of command means each worker should have only one boss with no other conflicting lines of command. So if you are assigned with a work, you have to follow the command or the order of one boss. Okay, sometimes what happens, found that necessary and possible that an employee should receive order from more than one superior to perform the task properly and in time, but this principle in certain situation is the cause of delay in work. It is also result in wastage of time and duplication of effort. So if the employee follow instructions from more than one superior officers, he will be wasting his time and he will not be able to complete the task in time. Okay, and it creates undermines authority, weakens discipline, creates confusion, delays the work, escaping responsibilities, duplication of work, overlapping of efforts. All these problems happens when unity of command principle is violated. Okay, so understand these principles properly, because usually questions will come like one paragraph case study they will give and they will ask you which principle is followed here or which principle is violated in the above cases. Like that question will come. So understand each principle carefully. Now we can see, okay, one leader is there, one superior officer, he is taking the employees, they are going towards a particular side. Okay, so what it is? Unity of direction. Okay, so unity of direction means the entire organization should be moving towards a common objective in a common direction. So if 10 people are working in an organization, all 10 people should move towards a particular direction. Suppose in our class, 13 people are there. So if all 13 people, all of you come with the or come we will go with to a particular direction, then only we can accomplish our objectives. Otherwise it's not possible to accomplish the objectives. In management first chapter already we studied management is standing to achieve the objectives efficiently and effectively. Okay, so to achieve those objectives we have to move towards a common direction. Each group of activities having same objective must have one head and one plan. So one head and one plan, that also important here. So people engaged in the same kind of activities must have the same objectives in a single plan. This is essential to ensure unity of action and coordination. So whenever you follow the direction of a one particular person and you go move towards a one particular direction, so you can ensure unity of action. Your action will be in unity and coordination also will come. Okay, then unity of command does not exist without unity of direction but does not necessarily flows from it. This unity of command and unity of direction are closely related to each other, but unity of command is not coming from unity of direction, but these both are closely related. Now we'll go to next. Here you can see people are together. So what it indicates? Subordination of individual interest to the general interest. So what this principle indicates, whenever a person is posted in an organization, the interest of one person should not take priority over the interest of the organization as a whole. So suppose you imagine that you are employed somewhere in an organization, your personal interest should not be important there. The organization important we have to see, and the achievement of organizational objectives is more important than our personal interest. So in an organization there are two types of interest, the individual interest of the employees and the general interest of the organization. So the individual interest should be given less importance while the general interest should be given more importance. If not, the organization will collapse. Understood, no? So we should not, suppose I am also an employee, I am working as a teacher in a school. So whenever I want leave I can take, but if I am always taking leave and sitting at home, I am taking care only my family matters and not taking care of the school children, then I am giving more important to my personal interest. I am not giving importance to the general interest of the organization. So this is what. Okay. Next, example we can say change of location of plant in an industry means suppose the production manager has the opinion to change the location of the plant, but employees are denying it because it will hurt their personal interest. In the sense their movement may increase if they change the location of the plant. They have to travel little more distance every day, so that and all they will see, and then they will go against this plan. So then for change in profit sharing ratio also, so for whenever we change in ratio, some partner or some people may lose their profit, some may get more profit. So this also we have to see whenever we, so these type of things also we have to take care whenever we think about the personal interest and the general interest of the organization. Now you can see the so one picture here, dollar symbol and this money, and this Ambani is a photo is there. So uh, we will see that what principle it indicates. So here next principle we'll see, that is remuneration. So what do you mean by remuneration? So remuneration is the price for services received. So whenever a person work in an organization, he is working there to get some remuneration. Simply nobody will work in an organization, we know that. If an organization wants efficient employees and best performance, then it should have a good remuneration policy. So if your pay scale or your payment method is good, then only you will get good employees. This policy should give maximum satisfaction to both employer and employees. So how we can decide a remuneration plan that should give satisfaction to both the employer and employees? So in remuneration means not only monetary things are there, non-financial incentives are also there. So both financial, non-financial incentives are also there. So free education, insurance, medical and residential facilities, all these things are also included in remuneration. Next one, here name is written, you can see the picture also. One is one main point and other lines are spread from the central point. Here one central point and other three lines are other three lines, and one each main central point. From that other lines are spread. So what it indicates, this is centralization. The first one, the first picture which is shown here, that is centralization. This one is centralization, this one, and this one is decentralization. This is decentralization. Okay, this is centralization. So centralization, what it means we will see. Okay, so centralization or decentralization. So centralization means concentration of authority. So concentration, here this word you remember, concentration of authority, concentration at the top level. So where it is top level. In other words, centralization is a situation in which top management retains most of the decision making authority. So decision making power, simply we can understand like this: if the decision making power is retained in the hands of hands at the top level, then it is called a centralization. So they will not give the decision making power to other people. Then what is decentralization? So decentralization means disposal of decision making authority to all the levels of organization. So we already discussed top level, middle level and lower level. If all the decision making power is vested in top level, then it is centralization. If that authority, decision making authority is dispersed or transferred or moved towards the lower level, then we can call it as decentralization. So Fayal, what here is saying, we have to centralize an organization or decentralize the organization. Centralization means the top authorities or the top level officers are taking all the decisions, and they will not be allowing other employees to take any decisions. But decentralization means the employees also getting, or the other levels of management people are also getting some freedom to take decisions. Okay. So anything which increases the role of subordinate is decentralization, and anything which decreases it is centralization. So anything which increases the role of subordinate role is, if increasing, then it is centralization. If the subordinate role is decreasing, then it is decreasing, then it is centralization. If the subordinate role is increases, then it is decentralization. Then Fayol suggested that absolute centralization or decentralization is not feasible. An organization should strive to achieve a lot between these two. So some work we have to centralize, some work we have to decentralize. So this is the best method. We cannot decentralize completely, or we cannot centralize completely. So in democratic countries and all, you can see here all India government is there. For our country, then all we have divided the whole country into states. State have their own independent power on their respective states, and states are divided into districts, then Jilla Panchayat, and then it's coming Panchayat. So all these divisions are there, that we can say it is a kind of decentralization. Okay. But when you take when rolling by queen or emperor, anything, anybody is there in any country, so there the decision making power all vested in their on their hands only. They are not giving any authority to other people to take any decisions. Even the higher other officials, only the top authorities will take decisions. Okay. So this is the principle, centralization and decentralization. Next one. So here we can see one person is standing, and left hand, right hand side, three people are there. So we can say, connect this picture to the next principle, that is scalar chain. So what do you mean by scalar chain? You can see in this diagram. So main top level A is there. So if A want to communicate to F, A has to communicate first to B, then C, then D, then E, then F. If F wants to communicate to any top level people, they have to follow this hierarchical order. So this is based on authority responsibility relationship. So superior subordinate relationship. So for B, his superior is A, his subordinate is C. For the D, the superior is C and subordinate is E. So like that you can read this and understand this. So what is the problem in this? If we come, A wants to communicate to F, or F wants to communicate to A, then it will take more time to reach the information to both these people. So that is the problem, but that only allowed always. But in emergency situation, in case any emergency situation, we can have a direct contact with the employees. So that direct contact is known as gangplank. So this is called gangplank. Here this F and P is having a direct relationship, and they made a bridge between that. So this is allowed only in emergency situations. So this principle is known as what? Scalar chain. Okay. Okay. Next, that scalar chain explanation only given here. Just you can go through that. So scalar chain is necessary for good communication. Scalar chain must not be broken in normal circumstances. But if quick action is necessary, then this chain can be broken. This is done using gangplank. So that broken bridge is known as gangplank. Okay. Now gangplank also explained temporary arrangement between two different points to facilitate quick and easy communication. So once again it is explained here. Whatever I explained, that only here. Okay, so I'm not wasting her time here. So we'll go to the next principle. Here you see everything arranged in properly, and you can see all fruits, vegetable in its place. Okay, and nothing is mixed up. So everything is categorized and kept in particular place. So this principle is known as order, 10th principle. So So next principle is there should be an order for things and people in the organization. So for people also needed order, things also we need order. So in our school you can see library books are kept and chalk pieces are kept in staff room or office. Okay, all office records are kept in the office. Teachers got a place in staff room. So chemistry lab chemistry teacher will be there, bio lab biology teacher will be there, physics lab physics teacher will be there. So each and every person got their own place. So things and people are to be kept in particular place. Order means material order and social order. So already discussed. Material order means place for everything and everything in its place. For things we call it as material order. All things we have to keep in a particular order. Social order refers to right man in the right place. So correct right man should be there in the right place. That is called what? Social order. Okay. So we have to follow this order principle. Even in our daily life also we can follow all these principles. You can also see how you are keeping your things at your home. Okay, check it. Then there must be orderly placement of the resources such as men and women, money, materials, etc. Misplacement will lead to misuse and disorder. If you misplace and keep anything somewhere and also what will happen? You will be searching for that and you will be wasting all your time. So to avoid that problem, what we can do? We have to keep the things in that place. Next, we'll see. It's a balance. Okay. So what it says? Your answer? Can you say? Okay, keep your answer in mind. I'll show you what the principle, what this picture indicates. What it is? Equity. Okay, so equity means the employee should be treated with the fairness, kindness, and justice if devotion is expected of them. So all people in the organization should be treated equally. Like all students in a class should be treated equally. There should not be any partiality towards anyone. So should be fair and impartial while dealing with the subordinates. So managers, suppose if you are a manager, you have to deal with your employees with with a fair and impartial behavior you have to show. Okay, they should give similar treatment to people of similar position. So if similar people are there, then of the similar post they should be treated equally. They should not discriminate with respect to age, caste, sex, religion, relation, etc. So non-discrimination based on any criteria. Equity is essential to create and maintain cordial relationship between the managers and subordinates. So if you maintain very impartial behavior with your subordinates, the subordinates also will be happy and they will give their best effort for the success of the organization, so that the production will increase, sales increase, profit increase, ultimately you can achieve the objectives of the organization. So but equity does not mean total absence of harshness. So equity matlab always you should support them, you should don't say anything, not like that. It means whenever necessary you have to correct people also. Okay, File offers the opinion that at times force and harness might become necessary for the sake of equity. Sometimes it is required. Okay, now next principle. You can see the picture what this man is doing. He is taking his things, light, plans, files, everything is carrying and going, and he is not happy also. So what is this principle? What it indicates? Stability of tenure of personnel. So what this principle says? Stability of tenure of personnel means employees work better if job security and career progress are assured to them. An insecure tenure and a high rate of employee turnover will affect the organization adversely. According to Fayol, time is required for an employee to get used to a new work and succeed to doing it well, but if he is removed before that, he will not be able to render worthwhile services. As a result, the time, effort, money spent on training the worker will go waste. So, stability of job creates team spirit and a sense of belongingness among the workers, which ultimately increase the quality as well as quantity of work. So, what this principle indicates, suppose you are a manager, you posted a new employee in your organization, you have to give him certain time to study the work and to get acquainted with the work, and then after that that only you have to move that employee from that job to another job. If you shift him before learning that job, he will be disturbed and he cannot give his better outcome for your organization. So whatever money we spend on training for that worker will go into a waste. So to avoid that problem, what we have to do, whenever employees are there in a particular post in a particular place, we have to give them a specific time period to familiarize the work and to continue their work in a happy way. Okay, next what you can see, coming forward. So here also raising hands, here also selecting the best one, I think. Okay, so this picture also indicating something. So what this picture indicates, next principle, 13 principle, initiative. So initiative, whenever teacher comes to your class and asks you something to do, so who will raise hands first, or who will come forward, raise the board? Some people will not, even when teacher comes they will not stand up also. So initiative means management should encourage, just for joke I am telling, don't take it seriously. Management should encourage initiative. That is why they should encourage the employees to suggest ideas, experience new method of work. Initiative means first, we have to motivate them. Yes, of course, if a very strict atmosphere means no one will take initiative, everyone will be scared and frightened. So whenever employees are motivated, encouraged, and given appreciation for their best work, they will come forward and they will give their best ideas. So first step from employee side also, with self motivation they can come forward. So developing, it helps in developing an atmosphere of trust and understanding. So initiative, whenever you take initiative, whenever you support, suppose in school example we can say you are coming forward and suggesting something, and that will create a trust and understanding amongst the people. It creates eagerness to initiate actions without being asked to do so. So all people will be self-motivated. Initiative means only self-motivated people will be initiative. To develop feelings of belongingness among the employees. So to develop feelings of belongingness, my organization, my school, my hospital, my college, like that, no, we have to create my business, like that we have to create an awareness among the employees. For that, this initiative principle is required. Then last one, 14th principle. 14th principle, this one you can see the picture, everybody is going hand in hand, they are togetherness. Okay, what the name, esprit de corps, this is a French word, we'll see what is esprit de corps. Means union is strength, so togetherness or teamwork, so that is the principle while saying last. So if your employees are together, if you can coordinate them together, suppose togetherness or coordination is very much required. So whenever you organize the programs in your school, last farewell program you organize, you must have seen some people whenever come forward or put their efforts in that time. So what do you feel, they will not come and do anything, so we only will do. So if you can coordinate everyone together, then the success of that program will be very good. Okay, so to achieve the organizational goals of the organization, this principle also very much important, that is esprit de corps. So real talent is needed to coordinate effort, encourage keenness, use each person's abilities, and reward each one's merit without arousing possible jealousies and disturbing harmonious relationship. So you can understand from that, so we have to create a harmonious atmosphere in the organization, so that teamwork can be developed and people will be working for the achievement of goals of the organizations. Okay, so these are the things. Have I all emphasized the need for building and maintaining harmony among the workforce, teamwork, and sound interpersonal relationship. Whenever there is teamwork, automatically the interpersonal relationship also will be very good. Okay, so these are the principles, and I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, you can message me or comment me. Okay, so conclusion also given here, I'm not reading that, and you just go through this and prepare notes also. Okay, and study it. Thank you so much. Okay.